What is going on, everybody? Dude, I love it. Restream gives me a countdown to when the theme song is going to end. It's fantastic. It's me. I'm joined by John, special guest Liz. Before we get into the show, I want to say I have a beef with Paramount Plus because they haven't posted the new Matlock episode yet, and I'm very disappointed. But in other news, this does not happen, I don't think at all, but the new Matlock got renewed after only 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's some shocking news.
Not done in television. And it's a good show. If you're not watching it, I think you guys should go check it out and put your biases aside and sit down and give it a chance. That's all I'm asking. Just give it a chance. Kathy Bates is Oscar worthy in this show, just like she always is. She's fantastic. I even like the second episode a little bit better.
Wait a minute. You said Oscar. It would be Emmy.
Well, I'm saying her performance is Oscar worthy. Like, she brings that level of acting.
Okay. All right. Well,
I know it's the Emmys, John.
Okay, just making sure we're clarifying things. That's all. Anyways, joining us is our special guest, Liz. Liz, how are you this evening?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We said off air that whenever Jason and I, get nice words either via email or through the Facebook page or whatnot, we really appreciate it. And we appreciate you coming on and chatting with us about the the celebrity, not the accident. That was last week. Note to everybody listening, I spent all day editing that for the podcast feed, so that's why I have the accident stuck on my head. But am I incorrect, Liz? I thought that I was told that the celebrity is one of your favorite episodes. Is that true or false?
That's sort of true.
Okay.
When I was looking at what was coming up and when Jason asked if I wanted to be a guest, I picked this one because I love a Julie episode.
Okay. Which Julie does make her reappearance, and we'll talk all about that.
Evermore confuses the fact of whether or not they're in a relationship. Like, in this episode, I'm pretty sure they are, but 2 episodes ago, I'm pretty sure they weren't. So I'm very confused on where we stand with those two. But yeah,
It's like a middle school love affair, is what it is. They're on and off.
Well, they were both in pajamas. Anyway, we'll get into it. Get into it. Liz, so what got you into Matlock?
I watched it as a kid. My friend and I would go to her grandparents' house after school and watch it with her grandpa. And then, I don't know, maybe a couple years ago, we bought this house that we're in. And for the first 9 months we lived here, we did not have cable or internet or cell phone or anything. So we're millennials though, so we have all kinds of DVDs, and I ended up needing something else to watch. So I found the box set on the internet and was like, let's try Matlock again, see how it holds up.
Well, that's cool. That's number one, it's cool because it's a story that we've heard from other folks, that they enjoyed watching it with friends or family or whatnot. But it's also cool that you are a physical media type of person because, Jason and I are both big physical media guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're part of the great generation of millennials. John is a Generation Xer. He is an old man. But all seriousness, so what else are you watching this week, Liz?
I've been watching Only Murders in the Building. I think we talked a little about that, maybe on Instagram. I have been watching the new Matlock. I'm really enjoying it.
Did you get to see episode 3?
I have not seen episode 3 yet. I've seen the first 2.
Okay.
And The Great British Bake Off is back, and I love that show.
Nice. I need to check that out.
See, so Jason, you said Paramount Plus doesn't have the episode 2 and 3 up yet?
It has 2, not 3.
Oh, it has 2. Okay, good. Because I was gonna say I'm slightly behind because I don't have Paramount Plus and I have to wait until the girlfriend is home so I can borrow her Paramount Plus. But anyways, that's another story for another time. Why John is too cheap to just pay for it. Hey, Corey, what's happening?
What's up, buddy? We need to get him on here too at some point. But So, what TV have I not watched this week, John? I watched How High Potential is pretty good. Murders in a Small Town is okay.
Whoa! Time out. Yeah. Murders in a Small Town. I've never heard of that show.
It's got I can't remember his first name, but it's one of Kiefer Sutherland's brothers in it. He's pretty good. It's got Kristen Kruk in it from Smallville, and she did another law show not too long ago. And like I said, it's okay. A little more slow paced. Brilliant Minds with Zachary Quinto's pretty good doctor show. And I'm trying to think of what else I've watched. High Potential's fun. All of the Law and Orders. Found's a really good show too, with Mark Paul Gosselaar as a kidnapper. He's really good in that too.
Well, I will let you have all of the TV shows, both you and Liz, because I haven't watched anything. I got back into, because I took a hiatus, I got back into the rewatch of Homicide: Life on the Street, but there's 7 seasons of that, so I'm going to be working on that for a while. And that's it. Because it's hockey season now, so I'm there's nothing on TV. I'm watching hockey. That's how I roll. So
Who's your team?
I grew up outside of Pittsburgh, so I'm a Pens fan.
Okay.
But listen, I'll tell you right now, we are awful this year. We are terrible. I'm not one of those delusional Pens fans who believe we're going to win another cup. We'll be darn lucky to make the playoffs. That's all I'll say.
John, when did you start playing hockey?
Hockey fan, but I like watching it.
Okay.
And I like the Red Wings for no particular reason because I'm from New York.
So no Isles, no Rangers, and no Devils.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all right. I got respect for Detroit. The original 8, Yeah. I got one time, well, right before they closed the stadium, I got to go to Joe Louis Arena, which was really cool.
That is
I
cool.
got a chance to go check out a Pens Red Wings game, and to be in that historic building was really cool. I mean, it was just mind blowing that all the history that took place, and I was like, I'm sitting here watching a game in this building. So, anyways, all right. Well, with that being said, Jason, I think you have a little bit of news before we jump into our opening segment.
Yeah, we could talk about it for a second. I am going to Monaco. So a friend of the Three Geeks podcast, Lanny Serum, who is an author, and she's been in some shows and stuff. She actually helped me go to Saudi Arabia to do something very similar a few years ago. And we haven't really talked since that, and that was before COVID. And then out of the blue, she's like, "You want to go to Monaco for a weekend?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go to Monaco for a weekend." So I get to go to Monaco to host panels and stuff, and it's all paid for, and it's fantastic. I cannot wait.
Well, Justin's going too, right?
Yeah, I'm taking Justin.
Okay.
I negotiated for somebody else because it gets boring sitting there talking to yourself. You got to have somebody there because if the audience doesn't engage, especially since we're going to be between France and Italy, so I'm sure English isn't their first language. So I need somebody there that I can talk to, like as the panel's going on, in case nobody in the crowd speaks English.
No,
I bet everyone speaks English.
Huh?
I bet everyone speaks English.
That's what I've heard.
We're the only country that doesn't learn other languages.
I was just gonna say you're gonna have Google Translate working overtime.
Dude, you've been studying France.
I have. I've been studying French. That's correct. And the weird part is like I read it much better than I speak it. Like if you ask me to speak it, it's like it's butchered. But if you give me like a paper, I can read it and tell you exactly what it says. But yeah, I'm just not. My fluency is not very good. That's all.
Not how I am with Spanish, only in the sense that if somebody's talking to me in Spanish, I can understand about 80% of what they're saying to me, but I can't do it back. Like I can't talk back to them with that same kind of understanding.
Yeah.
They just look at me like I'm an idiot.
Yeah. So I was doing it just because of a podcast project that I work on. I have a gentleman who is a French Canadian citizen, and he had a podcast himself with a French Canadian or with a French name that I could never pronounce. And I was like, no, I'm going to pronounce this. I'm going to learn how to do it. So I just started doing Duolingo French, and as that was my excuse, and I actually now can pronounce the actual name of his podcast. So
that's fandom.
What do you mean?
Like, I wonder if Liz would have learned a whole new language if our podcast had a difficult name to pronounce. Like, not a lot of people would do that. I wouldn't.
Honestly.
Well, it was important to me because he's my hockey guy. So he's on twice a year, and I feel like I should be able to say it. And he was like, dude, you don't have to. I'm like, no. I need to pronounce this correctly. If we're going to have this working relationship, I feel that way. He's like, oh, cool, man. Whatever. You don't have to, but You know.
Good on you, man. Corey says, might be going to Blues game this year when I visit my son. Blue Jackets?
No, the St. Louis Blues is
Oh.
another team in St. Louis.
Well, I got excited, man, because I thought maybe Corey was coming to visit us.
Yeah. No, sadly, he'll be in St. Louis.
I mean, that's not that far.
No, it's not. It's not technically. It's
Like
8 or 9
hours.
yet. 8 or 9 hours.
About as far as New York is.
Yeah. You know, hey, speaking of which, okay, I know we're getting off topic, and listeners at home are like, the banter is too much so far. But real quick, is it a bad idea to podcast while driving? Can I get your yes?
It depends. It depends. Because if you're not looking at anything while you're driving, you're just talking, I don't think it's that bad. There's people that would argue that it is, that you shouldn't be talking and driving, but I do that if somebody's in the car. I talk to them while I'm driving.
Okay. Liz, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm usually singing along to the radio. I don't think that's that different.
Okay.
Yeah, I think singing would be worse, and I do that too. And, like, John, we've podcasted driving.
Yeah, no one wants to hear me do that.
Well, I just asked. That was my a future episode of the PVD cast. I was like, oh, so we're doing this while you're driving. Okay. All right. Not sure if this is legal, but hey, what the heck? Let's go with it. You know,
it's just like making a phone call, I think.
That's what
we've done it before, John. We've driven in a car and done a podcast together.
When did we? Oh, to Monroe, we did that one time. Yeah, I forgot when we were going to Monroe. I forgot about that. Okay. See, memory's the first to go when you get old. Anyways, all right, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you two are set, let's jump on into our opening statements. All right, as we mentioned, the name of this episode is called The Celebrity, and the original air date is April 30th, 1991. There's almost a month in between episodes. I actually went back into my notes to see about the accident because I was like, April? We were just in March. For some odd reason, March 23rd, I think, was the accident, and then we're almost a month later, April 30th. So I don't know why there was such a gap in there, unless there was something, maybe sweeps were scheduled somehow weirdly, or maybe there was a telethon on or some sporting event. I don't know, but I was kind of taken back by that.
Yeah, sweeps are traditionally in March, but
yeah, who knows?
Maybe it was different then.
All right, well, we do have a few guest stars to talk about. Let's go ahead and talk about one that's probably the most notable, and that is Peter Hansen. He's going to be playing the role of Edgar Weldon. You may know Peter for his role as Lee Baldwin in General Hospital, of which he has like 2,000 episodes of that under his belt. He was also played Dr. Tony Drake in the movie When Worlds Collide. He played Mr. Marshall in The War of the Roses, Major Drake on How the West Was Won, and Lieutenant Colonel Van Pelt on Gomer Pyle. And he has about, 80, 90 more roles to his resume as well. So any of those credits you'd like to discuss real quick, either Liz or Jason?
Well, you forgot to mention he was on Lassie, John.
Oh, well. Sorry about that one. I overlooked Lassie. What can I say?
No, I haven't seen any of this stuff, sadly.
No, I haven't either. I mean, I've seen a few episodes of Gomer Pyle. Not one of my favorite shows, I have to confess.
I like Gomer Pyle. I know is from Full Metal Jacket. I've never seen the show either.
Okay. Liz, your thoughts on Gomer Pyle, if you have any?
I don't have any, no.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our next individual. The next individual is an actor by the name of Scott Williamson. He'll be playing simply the advertising agent representative, but you may also know him as Councilman Tucker Livingston in Waiting for Guffman, Coach in the movie Hook, Eddie Evans in the show Line of Fire, Larry Kaliski on Jag, Winky's party guest in Best in Show, and pilot number 2 in The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I had to throw this guy on here because I'm a fan of Christopher Guest movies, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, fantastic mockumentaries. I had to throw some love to this individual.
Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I think I've seen that before. He was
Daryl
also in
Hannah.
Cuffs.
He was also in what?
The movie Cuffs with Christian Slater, which is a super underrated like buddy cop movie from the 90s.
Okay.
And then Hook, one of the best Peter
said-
Pan adaptation ever made.
I said Hook.
I know. I'm just saying it's fantastic. Rufio.
Oh, okay. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman was Daryl Hannah, I believe. It was like one of those B movies that, I mean, it wasn't a B movie, but it was modeled to be like a B movie. So, all right, let's move on to another guest star, Mr. Rod Loomis, who will be starring in the role as Ron. You may know him as Freud in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Or you may also know him as Zed in Beastmaster, the TV director in Body Double, Adam Banks on The Bold and the Beautiful, General Kaluga on General Hospital, Dr. Cliff DeSales on The Doctors, and many other roles as well.
Nice. I vaguely recognize him from probably Bill and Ted.
I was going to say, when he popped up on the screen, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember him. And we do have two other things that I would like to mention real quick when it comes to our guest stars. Neither one of these individuals had a copious amount of credits to their IMDb, but they did have a specific style of connection that we love to talk about here on Mattalk, and that is that James Sartorius, who plays the role of Gil Altman, and Carrie Keene, who plays the role of Catherine Weldon, they are hat trick winners. Woo! Woo! Yeah! That's right. They are in a Perry Mason movie. And, of course, Matlock. We love to highlight the hat trick, even though our sound effects are a little off tonight. It's live streaming. What can you say? But there you go. So, hey, while we're on the topic, Liz, are you a fan of Perry Mason or Murder, She Wrote?
Big fan of Murder, She Wrote. Honestly, not that familiar with Perry Mason. I obviously know what it is, but I have not watched much, if any, of it.
Have you watched Columbo?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good show.
I like Columbo. Have you watched Poker Face, the Columbo reboot with Natasha Lyonne?
Oh.
No, but
I
Elsbeth.
Very good.
Have you seen Elsbeth?
I watched a couple episodes of that because you recommended it, and I didn't love it.
Okay, that's very Columbo-esque as well.
Wait a minute. I want to go back to the Natasha Lyonne Poker Face. I didn't know that was like a reimagining of Columbo.
That's how they pitched it initially, and it's Columbo in the way the new Matlock is Matlock. It's very much like in the style of, but it's very good. I liked it a lot.
Okay, cool. I guess the final question is, do you believe, Liz, in the theory that indeed Jessica Fletcher is a serial killer and that's why she stumbles across all of these murders?
No. I like that theory, but I don't think that's true.
No, she's a woman with 300 nephews, John.
That's right. She has
a large family tree with very bad luck.
Yes.
I love Murder, She Wrote as well.
I do too. As a matter of fact, you know what? Last Tuesday, was it last Tuesday? No, it was the 15th. It was the 15th. I got a text message from my buddy who was standing in the middle of Target with one of the action figures of Murder, She Wrote, of the Jessica Fletcher action figure. And I was like, where is this at? And he goes, Target. And he gave me the address. I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting there.
They have Murder, She Wrote action figures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this, and I forgot. I have the Murder, She Wrote board game.
Well, you'll have to check out. There's an action figure, and apparently they're available here in Columbus. I just couldn't get there in that time. So
this is off topic, but since you both really like it, I'll send you the link to our Discord group where once a month we do Murder, She Drank. And we watch 2 episodes together as a group. We used to live tweet it on Twitter before Twitter went down the drain, and now we're on Discord. It's very fun.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right.
Twitter is awful. We'll save that for another podcast, I guess.
I was going to say, let's not go down that road. Let's just not even bother. All right. Well, that wraps up our guest star. So that means, Liz and Jason, I must ask, can you give me your opinion? solely your opinion and only your opinion, so help you?
Yes.
Yes.
Jason?
Let's testify.
Let's testify. Oh yeah. There's the music we like.
This is the music we play for this, right? Not like this is my first day.
Well, you know what? We should probably let everybody know. Our producer Justin is apparently stuck somewhere in traffic. He wouldn't say where. Not sure. We lost contact with him. Maybe we'll have to get Liam Neeson to call his captors and tell them, I have a very specific set of skills. All right, let's talk about the plot, ladies and gentlemen. Matlock defends a cosmetics mogul accused of killing her lover for $4 million. Can I just ask you two real quick? Is that enough to kill somebody over for $4 million? I mean, theoretically.
I mean, back then. I mean, even now, yeah. I guess. I mean, I wouldn't kill anybody, but I guess. I mean,
I'd think about it.
Okay, see, you'd give it a very strong, thoughtful think about, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, when I left Ocean's 11, I sat down and tried to figure out if I could rob a casino for like at least a week.
And what was your result? I'm
not smooth enough. I'm not Brad Pitt.
I like how that movie motivated you in all the wrong reasons. Anyways, all right. Oh, geez. Where did no, there we go. All right, we're going to we start with our opening scene. And we see all of the usual sights we would see in Los Angeles, the Hollywood sign, the palm trees, Ming's Chinese Theater, sound stages, etc., etc. And then Catherine Weldon is in her dressing room getting ready to shoot a commercial. And Peter stops by, and he wants some money. And Catherine's makeup is going very, very well. Her sales are off the charts. And so basically there's a dispute over should Peter get any type of money or not, because he helped to co-create this makeup line, which that's according to him. And they kind of argue back and forth. And Peter says, well, if you don't happen to want to follow what I want to do, I have some naughty pictures, some incriminating pictures that maybe might change your mind. And he wants half of her earnings. Right off the gate, number one, I was very much infatuated with Peter's hair. It was very 80s. And we're in 1991, so I was wondering, what the heck are you doing? Why do you have such a coif of hair, man? Am I the only one?
Everything shifts 5 years, so the 80s is still going to be there through 95. But I did notice the hair. It's funny. Silly.
I didn't notice the hair, but I noticed the accent, and I did make a note of like, what is that accent supposed to be?
That's a good point. I forgot about that. He does have a very odd.
Very odd.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? Peter's going to take a quick trip out of the room when Jackie enters the room, and she wants to make sure everything is okay. And they kind of exchange a few words before Peter leaves. So we cut to a scene in Ben's home where Julie arrives, and Ben is doing his taxes. Now, first off, here's another little element to our debate on whether they are a couple or not.
Wait, did Julie arrive, or was she already there? I thought she was already there. Did I miss her arriving?
She arrived. She comes into the scene.
She comes in through the side door, and I'm like, huh, so you have a key to the place, because clearly I don't think Ben would leave his doors unlocked.
I think he does, but that's okay.
Oh, that's true, because see, Liz, I'm glad you're here to keep me on my toes, because you're right. He doesn't seem to lock his doors very often. You would think for a man that defends criminals, sometimes, and in that line of work, you'd lock the doors.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyways.
Especially with Les Calhoun as my neighbor. I'd lock the door and get some extra bolts.
I'd put a bear trap out front. So, anyways. Well, we have Grumpy Ben. He's very grumpy doing his taxes. And Julie says, hey, I got this trip to LA scheduled. I'm going to go see my friend Jackie. would you like to go? And Ben's like, I'd like to, but thousands of dollars and thousands of dollars and thousands of dollars. And Julie tries to continue to coax him into coming to LA. She's like, hey, my friend Jackie, her sister is, of course, the actress you have a crush on, Catherine Weldon. But thousands of dollars. And so Ben eventually declines. So we cut to a scene where Peter is at his home. And
hold on, let's go back for just a second. I love the receipt debate because he's trying in his mind, like, how can I use this receipt? And he's like, well, I thought about business, so that counts. I'm going to claim it.
Can I also just say I do bookkeeping and tax prep. That's my day job. He's self-employed. There are so many other things he can write off that he does not need to agonize over this one receipt and alienate his girlfriend in the process.
Good point. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, my whole point was, why do you have to do taxes right now? Like, there's no indication that it's like April 15th. There's no indication. It's like he woke up on a Wednesday morning and goes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do taxes. I know they're not due for 6 months, but I'm going to have to do them right now. Like,
maybe he got an extension, and because Ben, he's last minute. He got an extension, and now he has to get them done finally because he doesn't want to pay money, so he's going to put it off as long as possible.
It is an extension to file, not an extension to pay. So he would owe some penalties if he did that, but. Oh,
then that would make him very angry.
It probably is April 15th.
It probably is. You're right on this. Well, we go back out to LA where Peter is at his home and Catherine arrives and she wants a truce. She brought him a present, as a matter of fact. Never found out what's in that present just then and there, but we will at the end of the episode. Peter tries to put the moves on her, and I wrote this down. Supposedly, Catherine is clean and sober, and this jerk offers her a drink.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not the most charming individual.
I was stunned. I was like, really? That's low class, dude. That's really terrible. Seriously. Anywho, Catherine offers to give some money to Peter. He's not having it. He wants the $4 million that he feels he's owed. Peter's going to blackmail her with the photos that he has. He actually gets a little rough with her. And
again, more of a charmer, this guy.
Yeah.
It's a wonder that, he's single now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think somebody will count their blessings that they did not hook up with him. More on that in a few moments. We then cut to a scene where Julie arrives at Jackie's home. And what do you know, ladies and gentlemen? It's time for something we've never seen on Matlock before. It's time for a pajama party. That's right. Only in the 90s would you have silk pajamas. I mean, classy, ladies, classy.
Yeah.
They spend most of their time gossiping about Ben, as a side note. And they also tried to schedule a day, but Jackie says that she has to go into the office to do a couple of things, like an interview and this, which is going to come back up in a little bit. So we cut to the boardroom, where there's a meeting about the cosmetic line of Catherine. Peter just barges in and states he wants $4 million or he's going to release these drunken photos of Catherine. He throws them on the table. My first question is, where is security? Like, that he just came and visited you when you were going to shoot your commercial, so nobody thought, like, hey, excuse me, security, if this jerk shows up, make sure you toss his butt back out on the street and not let him in the building. But alas, that did not happen. So then we cut to a scene. It's at night, and a neighbor pulls up and sees that Peter's lights are on and his door is open. And then witnesses a Mercedes with the license plate C. Weldon speed away. And of course, Jason, it's your favorite part of the show. The neighbor goes in and finds Peter dead.
The thing that I noticed about this scene is that Peter hadn't gotten his blood yet. That, we found out people didn't get until 1990, and no blood at the scene at all. Like, we had blood this year, and then now it's gone again.
Well, You're trying to keep it less spooky, you know. Can I say real quick that in our next scene, this is the most regal and majestic police station I've ever seen in my life. Like when they show that exterior shot, I'm like, wow, is that from Greece? Because that looks, you know.
I gotta applaud her though. She didn't run in, touch the weapon, like take some hair out and leave it at the scene. Like she just walked in, saw the crime, and then I don't know what she did from there, but not that.
Well, for new listeners, let's just make sure that everybody's on the same wavelength. Jason hates when a person that finds the body manipulates the body, like tries to like move it or whatnot. It really drives him insane.
It does. I mean, they still do it on shows.
In 2024, they still do it on there, so not much has changed.
No wonder you guys were accused. Like, do you watch anything? Like, even I know not to do that. I don't know anything about the law.
Well, let's get back to this Greek inspired police station where Julie arrives and she's like, what happened? And then she's asked to represent Catherine. So they have a scene where the police are interrogating Catherine, and Julie has to like calm her down and ask for the cop, listen, can I talk to my client in private? He leaves. Julie's like, look, I'm a prosecutor. I can't do this, but I can get you a lawyer. And of course, Catherine says, I want the very best lawyer that there is.
Yeah, we know who she's going to call. Liz, what did you think of this scene?
I thought it was good, although I did wonder, like, Julie has defended people before, so why can't you do it this time?
Yeah, I got the same thing. Like, yeah, you've done it before. There's no rule, I don't think, that says a prosecutor can't be a defense attorney, because she's obviously did it with Matlock as her second chair.
Right.
Yeah. And then I also thought about this. So there's a scene where obviously she calls Ben in the middle of the night, and it's grumpy, sleepy Ben, which we enjoy.
Can he sleep this year, people? Like, he has not been able to get any sleep in season 5. It's ridiculous. Like, get this man some justice. But back to the thing before, I mean, maybe it was because it's her friend. You know, she didn't want to defend her friend, because if her friend gets accused of murder, then, you know, that can ruin a friendship.
Well, and then this is what I was like puzzled by. Julie just spins this yarn about, oh, Catherine's been asking about you, Ben. No, just say, look, we need help defense-wise. Can you come on out here? Not do this cockamamie story about, oh, she really wants to meet you. She thinks you're the best, blah, blah, blah. What? Get out of town.
I wrote that down too. I was like, why doesn't she just lead with, I have a case for you. It's a work expense. Do you want to come to LA? Exactly.
Absolutely, Liz. I don't understand why we had to do this whole little, nothing up my sleeve magic trick, if you will.
Well, to be fair, I'm going to play devil's advocate. It's nowhere near in the script or in this show at all. But maybe she didn't tell him because she didn't want him to bring Conrad or Michelle with them. Because, later on she said, I want to help you with this. I don't want you to call Conrad. So maybe she didn't want him to know it was a business trip, wanted him to think he was coming down to see her and meet this other girl that he has a crush on, who he is flirting with heavily in this episode.
Yeah.
Yes, but you forgot to put in there, he's flirting with her like he's a 7-year-old boy. Like, he's like not very good.
2 episodes ago or 3 episodes ago.
Oh, you mean with the bikini-clad girls at the water park? Oh, yeah, that was something.
Child.
Don't forget when he had the little hotel room situation with who now is Michelle Thomas, but at that time was Nancy Stafford's other character, who was the prostitute. There was that was very season 1. Yeah. Anyways, we're getting off track. Let's get back on here. So Jackie kind of meets with Ben and gives the details on the case. All right. And so Ben and Julie are going to start devising a plan of attack. And as you mentioned, Jason, it's this scene where Ben goes, I can call Conrad out. And Julie's like, no. I'll help you with it. It means a lot to me. No need to bring out Conrad.
Speaking of calling Conrad, you guys can email us at benmattalk@gmail.com. Follow us at Mattalk _podcast. And Liz, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, as it says on the bottom of your screen, at Dark Sea Yarn.
There you go. All right.
And can I say, this scene where he offers to fly out Conrad, that whole scene, I watched this twice, once on DVD and once on Pluto, just to see what was different. That entire scene is cut from the Pluto version.
Really?
Yeah. Which I think goes back to Jason's, like, are they a couple, are they not a couple thing? Because I feel like a lot of the character development gets cut from these other platforms, so we don't see that as much. In my head, they're definitely a couple. At this point, they're kind of a serious couple, but I can see where if you're watching something else, you'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've always used the physical media, the DVDs. I've never messed with Pluto, so interesting. Well, since we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about Ben's flirting, Ben goes to talk to old Catherine, who is swimming in a bikini, and this leads to the return of awkward juvenile Ben, who was just awestruck, and then for some odd reason had to sit in the world's smallest chair. I was like, what is going on?
Well, to be fair, I mean, I can attest to this. When you're finally, hanging out with that girl that you kind of have a crush on, everything you do is wrong in that moment. Like, you're going to make a complete fool of yourself, like subconsciously too. And that's what he's doing. I'm waiting for her to remind him about his girlfriend, Julie, who called him down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's a friend of her sister's.
She doesn't, though, and that was a note that I made. She's weirdly handsy with him, too.
Yes, agreed. Yes, she's very flirtatious with him. Like the way she leans in that car, she's like, "So you gonna start the car?" I'm like, that's this is getting what? And let's call it like we see it. Catherine Weldon has a thing for older men, as we find out with her ex-husband Edgar, who, by the way, I think looks older than Ben. Like, if I was a young lady and I was selecting between those two, I'm going with Ben because he looks much more dashing and he looks younger than old Edgar.
This is the 90s, John. The guy was probably 45.
You said this last time. I proved you wrong on that. That is not. Wilford Brimley was 70, not 40 as you claim. So Catherine does give like a lot of the background on her relationship with Peter and about how like he excuse me there and how he kind of fits into the puzzle of, did he help make the cosmetics line what it is today? And I wrote down here, actually it's funny, Liz, that you said that, because she knows she has Ben wrapped around her finger on this, in this whole couple of scenes. Well, in the meantime, Julie's interviewing Mr. Waltman, Gil Waltman, and Catherine's is his only client. He used to have much more, and now he only has her. So Julie theorizes that if Catherine's image is damaged, that Altman's career will also be damaged. So he's got to eliminate Peter from spreading those gossipy pictures, if you will. And Altman has an alibi. He's hosting a barbecue at his home. So Ben
crap. That's what I thought.
You thought that?
Well, because I'm really bad, because like you guys know, I watch a lot of these shows, and at the barbecue, it's easy to get away from a barbecue for 15, 20 minutes, especially if you have a lot of guests. Your guests aren't going to notice that you're gone.
Yeah, but I mean, I think at this point in the story, at least I felt, I didn't consider him a suspect yet. I actually, my point, who I thought at this point, I thought it was Edgar was going to be the murderer. That's who I had penciled in as the suspect, the key suspect.
I thought it was going to be the sister at the beginning. I'm like, of course, it's going to end up being the sister, but it was. Maybe it was.
Liz, did you have any thoughts as to initially who might be the murderer?
Not at this point.
Okay. Well, let's cut to a scene where Ben interviews Edgar. And Ben discusses the divorce with him. Sorry, folks. I keep coughing for some odd reason. I apologize. I'm trying not to catch that on the microphone. Sorry about that. So Ben discusses the divorce with him. Edgar, I mentioned here there's a big age disparity. But Edgar has an alibi. He said that he was playing bridge at that country club.
Was this the scene in the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay, I was super distracted by how gross it is that Edgar gives him his fork to have a bite.
Same here. You weren't the only one.
Yeah.
You don't just hand people your forks when you're eating?
No, I do not.
No.
I do not. I believe that I didn't do that even before COVID became a thing. I did not do that.
Yeah.
Anywho,
it is gross. I barely want to eat at a restaurant, let alone somebody give me their fork.
And my other thing was, like, I didn't know that bridge was a game that you could cheat or that you could gamble at, because I always thought bridge was just like a family-friendly game. You know what I mean? Like, you would sit down and play it. I know typically old ladies play it, but I just didn't think it was something you would gamble on.
I didn't either, but
I mean, rich people, they'll gamble on anything. What can you say?
I also thought when I hit my 40s, I'd be going to bingo every night. So life is never what it turns out to be.
That's it. I'm buying you the stampers next time I'm out. I'm buying you a stamper for the bingo card. That's what you're getting. And you look like you can't wait, actually. So never mind. Never mind then. If it's not going to be a good joke, I'm not doing it. Anyways, Ben is at Peter's home, and he finds a clue hidden in the dresser drawer because he's going through dresser drawers. And so that leads us to another scene where Julie and Ben are in a very fancy bar. And Ben's like, I found a clue. It's a love letter. And Julie was like, oh, well, love letter to Catherine. No. It's a love letter from Jackie to Peter. So Jackie is in love with Peter, and maybe she could have been the killer of Peter. And so Julie has nothing else to do but to confront Jackie about her love for Peter.
Another charming thing about Peter, how does he have all these girls just in love with him? He is a jerk. And to use somebody as a stepping stone to get to her famous sister is just...
Yeah. He's a scumbag to the 10th degree. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Well, Jackie claims that Peter and her were just friends. And as we know, thanks to Biz Marquis, you got to watch out for those. Anyways, 10 days after meeting Peter, he moves in with Catherine. Now, again, Jason, showing what a scumbag he is, because I don't know, maybe I'm wrong and you two could correct me, but after knowing somebody 10 days, I think you should wait a little bit longer before you move in. That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, they do say that a couple that moves in quicker with each other has a better shot at staying together longer because hear me out, because you learn who the real person is quicker than you do if you live separately and then after a few years move into each other. Because when you live together, you can't hide who each other really is for so long. But when you live separately, you can pretend to be clean and all that fun stuff.
Where did you hear this at?
I do stuff. I look at stuff, John. I'm just making stuff up, dude. It's fine.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, if you're reading this crap off of Reddit, then we need to have a talk. Okay.
10 days is too short of time to move in with somebody. Okay. I do agree. I said I agreed. Anyways,
moving on. So, as you mentioned, Jason, Peter's using Jackie to kind of hook up with Catherine. Ben goes back to Catherine's house. Catherine finds a police report that says, hey, there were 6 items found at the murder scene out of the makeup kit that I had left there. And there should be 7. So this is going to be a key point to the case for Ben. Julie interviews the secretary. And the secretary said that, yeah, Jackie was supposed to have a meeting, but Mr. Evans, his car broke down or something. And so I had to go get him. So I was gone like for almost an hour. So the meeting was delayed for an hour. So we cut to the courtroom. Finally, I think our first courtroom scene, if you will. Detective Stoner. Anyways, Detective Stoner is on the stand. He talks about how the makeup kit that was left at Peter's is a one of a kind. It is because all of those caps on that makeup kit was solid gold, where the mass manufactured ones are just painted gold. I don't know. That seemed like a lot of like, you're going to paint 7 caps, or excuse me, not paint, but cast them in gold. That's a little over the top, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, make those things into diamond or into gold rings or something. Anyways. So they mentioned that there's a crystal elephant that was never found, even though it was supposed to be at Peter's house, because that was the gift that Catherine was going to give him. And Julie right then starts coughing, like I have been doing this whole podcast. And she flags down Ben. She's like, look, we got to go to a recess. And, I'll tell you later. So Ben goes and tells the judge, can I have a recess because
the hot dogs aren't sitting well, which we knew that was going to be his excuse.
Did you? I didn't. I did not.
What is it going to be?
Well, you're right. No, you're right. But I didn't think that we were going to hear about, A, I didn't think we were going to hear about hot dogs. B, I didn't think we were going to hear about gastrointestinal problems. So
I didn't say that. I just knew hot dogs would play into it. What about you, Liz?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I didn't know it was going to be the hot dogs. I thought it was kind of sweet that he makes up an excuse, like at his own expense, to do what she asks him to do, though.
Yeah.
But see, I thought he was going to go with, there's some new evidence I'd like to check out. Like I thought that's where we were going when he approached the bench. Because in theory, that's not a lie. He actually was checking out some evidence. So, but
you have to share it though with the prosecution if you admitted your evidence. So,
good
we got to
point.
figure this out first.
Good point. All right, hot dogs caused me to almost poop my pants. Then we'll go with that instead. All right. So Julie has a plan. So she confronts Jackie about the crystal elephant because, for some odd reason, Jackie took it from the murder scene and has it in her house because that's the smart thing to do.
Oh, yeah. Always take stuff from the murder scene.
Always.
And it will not at all make you look. Grab the murder weapon while you're there and take that with you.
Anyways, and make sure you text everybody that you're going over to the house. Anyways, Jackie claims that she went over to Peter's house, all right, and said, hey, look, I'll give you $100,000. Just give me the pictures. And she goes, when she showed up there, he was already dead. So she panicked and she grabbed the elephant and left. Further complicating things, which I think they mentioned in the next scene, is that Jackie was the one driving Catherine's car with the personalized plates because she gave the keys to her car to the secretary to go get Mr. Evans. So Julie reveals to Ben what she found out, and Julie says, I believe Jackie. I've known her a long time. All right. So Ben gets on the stand.
Why now? Sorry. Why does she believe her now? She's like, I know if she was lying to me. She's literally been lying to you the entire episode.
Yeah, good point.
I was wondering the same thing. Maybe she learned what she looks like when she lies now.
You learned to tell. There you go.
Well, then we have Ben interviewing Mr. Altman again, Gil. And Gil's excuse for missing an hour, because Ben says, look, some of your guests said you were gone for a while, was that the propane tank ran out of gas. So he had to go get it. He had to go get it refilled. And as he's filling out a Post-it note or a piece of paper with the address of the place where he got the propane at, Ben notices those pictures, those nasty pictures of Catherine are in his desk drawer. And that makes him, think about something. So we go back to the courtroom, and Altman is on the stand. Ben points out, you had 8 pounds of propane gas in that tank. You only needed, it can only hold 2 more. So you had plenty of gas. And of course, Gil said, I didn't know what was going on. Just there was something that it wasn't working right, et cetera, et cetera. So the makeup kit, the one thing it's missing is concealer. And Ben talks about how it's possible that maybe, just maybe, as Gil was talking to and arguing with Peter, that he could have very easily been killing him, and Peter punched him in the eye. And I like how Ben was doing the demonstration of strike out. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop it, Jackie Chan. So the theory is that Peter punched Altman during the murder, and he used the concealer to hide his bruise. Also, 2 days after the murder, Altman sees his dermatologist because Altman had a rash showing that he could be allergic to the makeup. And then last in the damning bit of evidence is Altman tore up pictures when he spoke to Julie earlier in the episode. He tore them up. And there was a set found at Altman's. And the pics, they were at Peter's house. All right. So he only made enough copies for himself and a couple of people to show. So the fact that Gil had an extra set means he took them to help cover his crime. And there's a heated exchange, all these, with all this theory being explained, it's intermittent heated exchange between the prosecutor and Ben. So let's pause here for a minute. What do you think about this whole theory that Ben has put together? Liz?
It's kind of a weak argument. I think it's not one of his better courtroom scenes.
Agreed. Although it was much better than the accident, but I digress. Jason, what about you?
I thought it was fine. It was just nice to see a prosecutor who hadn't given up. Like all the prosecutors in Atlanta have just given up.
Yeah,
okay.
They whimper like, oh, okay, sorry, Ben, go ahead. Yeah, somebody had some spine and was standing up to him.
Yeah.
Well, Catherine is found not guilty. And Jackie and Julie, they make up, for lack of a better term. And Ben says he's going to take everybody out to dinner. Catherine said there's some great places to go, but they're pretty pricey. And Ben said he can't wait to write this sucker off, tying us way back into the tax storyline. So that concludes our coverage of the celebrity. Is there anything, Jason or Liz, before we get to our closing statements that you want to mention?
Before Liz says that, I'll say it. He couldn't claim that dinner on his current taxes that he is working on right now.
Thank you.
Which sounds like that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. All right. Well,
he's going to ask the restaurant to change the date. Which I want to see that argument in the episode. Put it in.
Oh, that would have been awesome. I could see him with some whiteout, like the brush whiteout, like, whiting out dates and forging them. I could see him doing that. Absolutely. Who could get that done? If Tyler Hudson was around, he could make some fake tax forms like that. He's got the connections for that.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that then, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our closing statements.
This is the part of the podcast where John, Liz, and I will rate the show on a gavel system. 5 gavels means we absolutely loved it. What -1 gavel means we did not like it. And if we give it -100 gavels, we are moving to Monaco. Going to start a podcast there about the water. John, how do you rate this?
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I know you forgot Liz, because we do it every week, and you forgot that we had a guest.
I got Liz. I stumbled after I said Liz because I didn't know where to go from there.
All right. You know what? I'm going 4 gavels. I think this was a pretty decent episode. I feel like the positives outweigh the negatives. I feel like there was a good setup. There was good acting. We had Julie. I felt like the only negative was that, much like Liz mentioned, I felt like it was very flimsy at the end when it comes to Gil Altman and his involvement in the murder was kind of a little bit cloudy. But overall, I liked it. I thought it was a pretty solid episode. Jason, what say you?
No, I think we should go to Liz.
Okay. All right, Liz.
I would also give it 4 gavels. I mean, I love a Julie episode. I think the mystery was okay. We really only had like 2 suspects though, because they never would have made the sister the killer. Although I think it would have been interesting if she was.
Yeah, agreed.
And they have to prosecute that. But yeah, I liked it. It was fun. I like their buddy cop adventure episodes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I give it a 4.5. This has been a rocky season, unlike season 4 and I'd say 3, which were solid pretty much all the way through. And this was a nice end to that. And like I said, we get angry Ben, we get tired Ben, we get cheap Ben, we get, flirty Ben. We get all the Bens in this episode, and I love the Bens. Yeah. So it's a 4.5.
Well, you know what? Funny that you mentioned this. Is season 6? I'm Googling it right now. No, it's still with NBC. Okay. I was going to say we're coming up on the change from Network 1 to Network 2. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure if it was 6 or 7, but I believe it is 7 when it kicks over to ABC. So yeah. It'll be interesting to see how season 6 unfolds as you mentioned, Jason. We wrapped up with season 5 here.
Yep.
All right. Liz, is there anything you'd like to talk about here, like to plug, like to shill, anything along those lines? Well, wait a minute. Jason's already got you covered. Go ahead.
Have a plug for me.
There you go.
Thanks for plugging my website. That is my little side business, Dyeing Yarn. I can plug, I think the cat knocked it down, the Murder Most Cowl, which is my murder cowl with doodles inspired by Matlock and Murder, She Wrote, and Only Murders in the Building. And there are 3 kits that you can purchase based on those shows also. And you can find all of that on my website. And that's about it.
Just snap a photo of this QR code. If you guys are listening audibly, just go down in the description. The link is right there for you. And you can find me at 3 Geeks Podcast. I am doing tons of reviews every day on all my social medias at 3 Geeks J, at 3 Geeks Podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube by snapping a photo of the link or click the link down below. And John, what about you?
Well, the PVD Cast is my own personal podcasting project. Much like Jason, if you click right down there on that QR code, you'll go right to the website, pvdcast.com, where you can get all of the episodes. Celebrating episode 450 this week with a really talented actress by the name of Corinne Briddy as my guest. So definitely check it out, pvdcast.com, in case you are listening to this and you didn't obviously see the QR code. So
I have not made one of those from Mattalk yet. I made one for Lizz's company before I made one from Mattalk.
I am honored. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
I could have done it while I was doing this show, because that's when I did yours, was why we were doing this. But yeah, next time maybe. We'll see.
Well, we also got to get Liz, what do you think about Mattalk stickers? We're thinking about doing stickers.
I want a shirt.
I like stickers.
Okay, sticker. You want a shirt?
Shirt and a hat.
A shirt and a hat. Oh, the hat. I could get with the hat. I can get with that. Okay, we'll talk about. Nobody cares about our merch. Let's get on out of here real quick.
I do.
They'll care when
Liz
we have
cares.
merch.
Gino cares and Daniel cares.
Okay, all right, good point. Those 3 folks are
small batch of shirts. That's all.
Small batch. There you go. I like it, Liz. All right. Well, with that, Liz, thank you very much for coming on. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And again, folks, if you're interested, shoot an email to us. Get in touch with us on Facebook, Mattalk Podcast, and I'll let Jason plug the email account one more time.
To be in mattalk@gmail.com.
All right. And with that, as they say in court,
all rise.
No, Jason, that's not your line. Let's try it again. And as they say in court,
nothing further.